Hello, my name is Cyclone and we are looking at the Mauritius cyclone situation in Invest 95 or 97S rather at this time, which looks like it might just be a fully fledged tropical cyclone, and it is headed for Mauritius, where we are expecting a direct landfall in around 4 days' time as a powerful, intense tropical cyclone. So stay tuned and watch the entire video to make sure that you are updated on this system. And if you are brand new here, please consider subscribing and leave a like on the video while you're at it. Currently with maximum sustained winds of 30 knots, it could actually be a little bit stronger than that right now. A minimum central pressure of 1,000 millibars at 13 degrees south and 57 degrees east. We're going to jump over to Windy and take a look at where this storm is going to be headed. You can see, looking at the satellite imagery right now, I'm going to play through the 12-hour loop. You can see that the system is looking substantially better than what it was about 12 hours ago. And as this loop plays itself through, you can see already thunderstorms starting to extend as far south as Rodriguez and Mauritius. So it is a spreading system. It's definitely spreading her wings right now, and you can see wrapping itself up quite nicely with convection banding into the center of the cyclone. Really good outflow towards the north, and it looks like, judging by these convective cloud tops approaching minus 80 degrees Celsius, we have a strengthening or rapidly strengthening system in a very favorable environment for development, which is going to be a key feature here in this video because the forecast models don't seem to have initiated this tropical cyclone very well. Invest 97S looks like it could be dramatically underestimated as it makes its approach towards Mauritius and Reunion. You can see here it is looking very, very nice on the visible satellite imagery. Very defined circulation in the lower levels now starting to spread into the system. I would be shocked if ASCAT didn't find a tight low-level center in this system and maybe even 35-knot winds, because this is what looks to be a characteristic tropical storm or moderate tropical storm in this part of the world. So I'd be shocked if this wasn't a fully fledged tropical cyclone at this point. But yeah. Oh yeah, and I'd also like to make a point. If this cyclone gets named and picks up the next name on the Southwest Indian Ocean naming list and becomes the first tropical cyclone potentially of 2024, it will get the name of Belal. Cyclone Belal, or moderate tropical storm Belal, however it's going to be called by Meteor France on Mauritius. So be listening out to that name because it is very much possible to occur in the next 24 hours. I'm going to give it a 95% chance of development. I don't see how this system can falter on the start that it's already got, because yeah, it's looking really decent, that's for sure. But yeah. And I'm going to talk about how dramatically the models have underestimated this system. You can see initialized right now with winds of around 20 to 25 knots in the center. It's obviously stronger than that as per the official guidance from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. And it's a similar story with the GFS. They're both underestimating this system quite dramatically. And as you can see, as the storm heads into Saturday and into Sunday, the Eastern UBF just refuses to intensify it until about Sunday evening when we see it attain cyclone status. But right now, it's basically on top of Mauritius. And as this storm heads towards Mauritius, we're likely going to be seeing it substantially stronger than this. The GFS itself expecting a substantially stronger system with the pressure in the high 970s at this point. But even that, because of the GFS's resolution, I believe that this is dramatically underestimated, and we could be seeing a stronger storm than what we're seeing on here, with winds probably approaching 60 to 70 knots at this time. So a fully fledged hurricane equivalent system approaching Reunion and Mauritius. And then on Monday, it makes that sharp right-hand turn and it heads straight towards Mauritius, and a very slow moving system with a pressure in the low 960s, high 950s, as it makes landfall on the southern part of Mauritius, exactly where the Eastern UBF actually expects a landfall. So very good certainty in terms of the landfall situation for this cyclone, that's for sure, which means I can say with a very high degree of confidence that we are expecting a landfall on Mauritius this time, which is quite rare considering Mauritius' size and the amount of space that cyclones have to move through in this part of the world. And the forecast gets very wacky for the Eastern UBF. You don't want to miss it. We're going to take a look at rainfall first, because a lot of rainfall is expected to fall from this tropical cyclone as it makes its passage over Mauritius, with places expecting in excess of 400 millimeters in one or two spots, and also down on Reunion as well. You know, historically a very wet place when it comes to tropical cyclones and rainfall accumulation. There could be one or two places on the coastline that pick up close to 700 or 800 millimeters, and any wobble in the track means that we could be seeing a substantially higher amount of rainfall or a substantially lower amount of rainfall. If this storm moves about 100 kilometers towards the east of Mauritius, then Mauritius might miss out on rainfall completely. But if it moves further towards the west, then that could place Reunion in the bands of this system, and we might even be seeing up to a meter's worth of rainfall on Reunion. That's about 40 inches. So a ridiculous quantity of rainfall is possible from this system, and there's still a lot more out there for the oceans to decide in what's in store for this system. which we'll know a lot more maybe Sunday and into Monday. But yeah, a relatively uncertain forecast considering there's a lot of variables at play, but it is very highly likely at this point that Mauritius is going to see cyclone conditions from this storm, and it's likely that they're also going to receive maybe intense tropical cyclone conditions from this cyclone as well, because it's going to be a strong system as it makes its passage through. Now, before I jump over to that wacky forecast, we'll take a look at the ocean dynamics first and see what sea surface temperatures this storm is over right now. About 30 to 31 degrees Celsius, so bath water stuff for this cyclone, and it is not cooling off much until it gets to Mauritius, when sea surface temperatures drop off to only 29 degrees Celsius. So it is very, very warm, these oceans, as this cyclone approaches Mauritius. And if wind shear is lower than expected and sits at around that sort of 10 to 15 knot threshold, there's absolutely nothing stopping this storm getting to a Category 4 or Category 5 status, which I'm not saying it will get up there, but it is a plausible scenario at this time. Just looking at the thermodynamics for this tropical cyclone, it is going to have a whale of a time in the Indian Ocean, let me tell you. And wave heights as well, you can see it, significant wave heights expected as this cyclone makes passage. Mauritius could see a storm surge up to 10 feet and significant wave heights up to 20 to 25 feet as this cyclone makes passage. So very high waves and a very substantial storm surge as well. So harbours and coastal locations around Port Louis could be receiving some substantial waves as this cyclone makes its passage and makes its landfall on Mauritius and Reunion as well. Not entirely spared from this cyclone, that's for sure. Now, I will take a look at the wacky forecast from this cyclone because it's absolutely crazy. I mean, the Eastern BF, as we play this through Wednesday and into Thursday, it's normal until we get to Friday when the system double backs up towards Mauritius, and that's not a direct landfall again. But the fact that it's moving back towards Mauritius as a powerful tropical cyclone with peak winds approaching the hurricane force, maybe Category 2 force conditions, and then bounces back down towards Rodriguez Island, that's a crazy forecast. I mean, I don't think the steering currents are going to allow this system to basically track through here, landfall on Mauritius, and then down, double back, and then double back again over towards Rodriguez rather, and make sort of a maybe a 6-point turn. So that's absolutely absurd. But yeah, it's a plausible scenario considering we've got a tropical low developing over the Madagascar area, which could become a cyclone in around 12 days' time. We've got a tropical or a low pressure system down here, which will be sucking the system down, and then another tropical cyclone over the Cocos Islands, which is blowing the system towards Mauritius. So it's kind of in this spot where it's not going to have the steering currents to move it around, which means it could stall, it could hover in one particular place for a long period of time, which is a concerning scenario indeed. But yeah, right now we're really looking out for its initial landfall on Mauritius because it could be a strong system as it makes its passage over Mauritius and Reunion, with peak winds probably approaching, what's that for Mauritius? It could be approaching sort of that 65 to 70 knot wind threshold, but this is the GFS model, so you could extrapolate that and maybe even predict 100 knot winds on Mauritius, which is a severe tropical cyclone or a major hurricane equivalent system. So a very strong system, an intense tropical cyclone is possible as this storm makes passage. So a significant weather threat developing for Mauritius and Reunion, and it's something that should not be taken lightly, that's for sure. And we've also got the possibility for another tropical cyclone system to wrap itself up in the Mozambique Channel in around 10 days' time. However, I'm not 100% sold on that scenario. The models have since stopped backing its support, so I wouldn't really put my money on that. But a long tracking system in the Southwest Indian Ocean is also possible with the name of Candace. Keep in mind, this one will likely pick up the name of Cyclone Belal in around, I'd say 24 hours time tops. But Cyclone Candace over here, if it does get named in the Southwest Indian Ocean, or Cyclone Kirrily or Lincoln if it gets named in the Australian region, if it gets named at all, next Wednesday and into Thursday is going to start its marathon journey across the Southwest Indian Ocean before it dies off Saturday and into Sunday as it gets pulled into the deeper subtropics. But it's going to have a pretty good run, and it could get up to a pretty strong intensity because conditions are looking pretty good for this system, that's for sure. But yeah, that's basically all that I have time for on this tropical cyclone threat. If you live in Mauritius, watch the weather very closely because it is a threat to you, and it could be a severe tropical cyclone threat as it moves through. It's looking really decent on the satellite imagery right now, and it's only going to look better as we get into the evening hours of tonight into tomorrow morning. We'll be bringing you the latest on the Cyclones Oz channel, so make sure you are subscribed for the latest information, and also leave a like on the video while you're at it because I'm back covering the weather and I'm loving it more than ever. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.